What's up, everyone? Philippa with Channer Consulting here with another Coffee Chat episode. This month we have a special guest, Viola Welang. She's bringing you some amazing tips and insight on setting goals the right way. I know you will get loads of guidance and wisdom from this webinar. Enjoy! Welcome to our coffee chat. This is the sixth one this year. I'm excited to be here and offer all this free knowledge and wisdom to all of you. Today we have our very first time we have a special guest leading the show. Her name is Viola. She's a small business strategist. She's here in Montgomery County and focuses on simplifying business growth and success. And so she's going to walk us through some steps of understanding how to set business goals and why it's important for us all to learn. So whenever you're ready to get started, Viola, you can take over.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for having me. I feel honored to be the first guest. Oh my gosh, so much pressure. And thanks for connecting. I'm happy to connect with you all. And this is what I love to do. I love to give workshops around small business, simplifying small business success. That has been my work for the last 12 years. So today I'll be talking about setting business goals because I think we all set goals in our business life and in our personal lives, but just really understanding how to do it right and how to follow through and just really understanding how that plays a huge role in actually moving your company forward. So the agenda today, I'll just give you kind of a little introduction on just goal setting and go over the importance. It's important for us to understand why we're doing what we're doing, and also how do you actually create these business goals, right? And so I'll walk you through that process, and then walk you through having an action plan that actually works, because it's one thing to have a goal and then it's one thing to actually implement it on the day to day. And then we can conclude with some questions. And I will stop in between, I guess, each section, I meant to say, and I can take questions as we go. So if you have a question, you can just pop it on the comment section, and I'll try to address them as we go. If not, we can take questions at the end. Please feel free to ask me questions relating to personals or unique scenarios in your business. This is a great opportunity to really kind of hash that out, especially since it's a small group. So let's take advantage of the intimacy here and be able to tackle some of those challenges. All right, so I always love to start with a a quote or this is one of my favorite, and it says, "Planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can do something about it." I really love this one because that is what goal setting is all about. It's all about trying to plan and essentially kind of projecting something you want to achieve in the future into the present and actually doing something about it. And I find it very, very true. And so I like to share that to just kind of break the ice. And it's by Alan Lakin. So what is goals? What are goals? I'm not going to go into defining. I think we're all aware of what a goal is, but we can just say it's a broad outcome that you wish to create, particularly for your business. So if you want to achieve something, whether it's financial, whether it's for your operations, whether it's customer base, employee base, or human resource, your team, and things like that, whatever that outcome is, that's what your goal is, right? And I like to say smart goals because we want to have, when we're defining that outcome that we wish to create, we want to make sure that it kind of checks off the SMART acronym so that down the line we're able to actually kind of manage the performance of what we have set out to accomplish. And the SMART acronym basically is specific, measurable, actionable. The R is like, I'm losing my thought, but the T is for time bound. And I'll come back to that. I think it's realistic. Yeah. That's what it is. So, but it's important, and you find out why when we get to the end, when we get to the action part, because you want to be able to measure what you're doing. You want to have a time allocated to it so that it helps for accountability. Otherwise, you can just kind of go without end on trying to achieve something. But that's essentially what goals are, and we do that in our personal lives, whether it's setting goals for weight goals, health goals, and things like that, financial goals. We do that all the time. But I want to stress and say that one of the things that I pride myself in doing in my consultancy is bringing my corporate experience, as far as what businesses in the corporate world, like what best practices they use to succeed, bringing that into the small business ecosystem. And I'll tell you right now, goal setting in the corporate world is a huge deal. That is how every single company that we know and admire, that is how they run their companies. That is how they make sure that they are moving forward every day towards their vision. That's how they progress. It's all around goal setting. And they can use different frameworks and call it something different, but essentially they have planning sessions, they come up with goals, and they roll them out by departments and cascade them down to every single person. And so that way people are held accountable and everybody is working towards a common focus. I just want to establish that so we understand that this is actually a best practice in the corporate environment. And so that's something that we should all be doing. Okay, so why is it important to set business goals? I highlighted on focus, and I'm going to put focus and direction on the one because they're very closely related. Say, for instance, you are going on a road trip with a couple of friends and you guys have multiple cars, right? And once you have a destination, you guys are all focused towards getting to that destination. It's really silly to be heading somewhere if you don't know where you're heading. So it's the same thing in business. Like, you have to have a clear understanding of what outcome you're trying to achieve so that your whole team can be focused on that outcome. And then when we drill down into the actual action plan, it even goes down to direction, because once you have the goal, then you don't only have the focus, but you have a direction of where you're going. So it is uber important to make that a practice in your business, no matter the size, whether you are an individual or you have a team of one or two, whatever the size is, it's good to start, kind of implementing these best practices so that as you grow, it becomes, you're already disciplined in doing these things. The second thing is efficiency. I think this is particularly true in small businesses because we have such a high demand on our time and money resources. There's so many things to get done, but when you're in a small, depending on the size, you can do everything, right? So having clear guidance on what your goals are, it's gonna help you to manage your resources and focus them on things that you have prioritized, right? So that's what efficiency is all about. So instead of trying to take on everything, trying to fix everything, you go through a process where you prioritize goals that are important for your now, and you focus your resources on that. And you focus your time, your money on doing those things. The other thing is accountability. And if you have a team, this is particularly true because when you now have goals and they cascade down to everyone in your business, then people know what they're supposed to be doing and they can be held accountable. A lot of times I have business owners that would have a team of maybe 5, 10, 15, whatever. And you just have an accountant and she's just doing bookkeeping. There's just no specific department goal. And whether you're working on, improving your operations around accounting, whatever, it's just letting her do what she does. And there's no accountability as far as what she's supposed to be kind of working on to move the company forward. Or even in marketing, like just letting people do what they do in marketing without specific marketing goals during that season. There's just no accountability. You can't hold them accountable for, specific things, so it's important because everybody knows that, this is what I'm in charge of. This is what you're going to be measuring my performance based out of. And once you're accountable as a team player, you kind of innately don't want to let your team members down. So you end up being more of a better performer, so to speak. So it's a big one when you have a team. And then the other thing is results. If you don't have goals, more than likely you're not getting results. And goals just kind of, as human nature, when you set a goal, you are way more likely to achieve it than if you don't set it. Like things don't happen by accident. You have to be intentional. So in setting goals, you're automatically setting yourself up for success because you are going to, worst case scenario, get better results than if you never set any goals at all. And the last thing is team building. And I kind of highlighted that with the accountability because think about all the different goals being like different pieces of a puzzle. When I know that what I'm doing is part of a big picture and it's someone is piggybacking off of what I'm doing, or what I'm doing is feeding information to someone else, that just helps the team relation because you understand that we're not working in isolation. It takes the whole team to move everything forward. So I like to highlight that because it's important to know why we do what we do. It makes us that more pressed. So that's it for the importance of setting business goals. All right. So how do you actually get to setting goals? And this is really important. And I think this is the core of what this whole workshop is about, because how do you set relevant goals? How do you know that your goals are actually what you need to be setting? Because you can just be like, oh, I want to make XYZ. Is that the best goal for your company right now? So that's what, again, the bulk of this conversation is about. You don't want to set your goals in isolation based on what you think that your company needs to achieve. It needs to be part of a larger framework of how you run your business. And that framework involves actually understanding what this is, a high level, right? So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with strategic planning, but on a high level, strategic planning involves you understanding what your vision and your mission is. So in order for you to really create goals that speak on the outcome that you wish to create, you first have to know where you're going so you can know what that outcome should be. And that's what your vision helps you accomplish. So getting clarity on your vision helps you know where you're trying to go big picture. So, if you're trying to dominate the market in your regional area or be the leader or whatever it is, having a clarity of that vision, it helps you understand, okay, this is what I'm trying to go. Think about it as the eyes of your company. Okay. And then once you have your vision, of course, you do a, part of the strategic planning process is doing a thorough understanding of what your internal environment and your external environment is. So that will be like your SWOT analysis, which tells you what your strengths, weaknesses are, what your opportunities and threats are. Understanding also your key issues, and doing this assessment helps you understand your positioning in the market, right? So if you are a baker, based on your assessment, it tells you, where your competitors are, where you are against, those people, whether it's on the marketing end or customer base and things like that. It just helps you understand where you are, so that you can know what you need to move to get you to your vision. And so once you understand all this assessment component, then you now go into goal setting. It's important to go in that order because that's how you know what is the most important thing that needs to that you need to tackle in your business to move you forward. And the thing with goals is like you cannot set 5, 6 goals at a year or 2 years. That's just a lot. You want to keep it to 2 to 3 goals, especially if your size is not, if you don't have the resources to tackle so many things. The recommendation is to do 3 goals, because 3 goals is achievable. It can be done, right? And so you want to win at the end. You don't want to take on too much and then don't have the resources to do everything. So you have to kind of gauge and see what you're able to take on. But again, based on the small business space, 2 to 3 goals is ideal. And what these goals are, again, these are broad outcomes that you want to create, and then you break them down into, objectives and strategies and tactics. I don't want to go into the details of what those look like, but just think about your goals. I want to give an example. Say my goal is to increase revenue in 2021. That's a big outcome that I want to create. Then my objectives would be sub goals, which are more really defined. So I'll say, in Maryland, I want to have a market share of X percent, so they are really specific. And that way, when you come out to measure them, you can actually have the KPIs that really tie directly to those objectives. But that's what the goals and objective component is. So first, you understand your assessment and your environment, you understand your vision, and then based on that information, you say, okay, in order for me to move from point A to point B, I need to improve maybe I need to improve operations, right? Operations, maybe especially if you're in manufacturing, or if you have a company that is heavily relying on operations. I'll give you an example. I have a client that is in the waste management space. There's a lot of operations in that space when it comes to routing the vehicles, and a lot of customer interactions and picking up, dropping off, and things like that. So if your operations are messed up, it really can hinder everything, whether it's customers refusing to pay, or customers not repeating business because you failed them on one occasion. So you have to really check all your boxes on your fleet. Make sure your fleet is good. Make sure your operations are really, every single component within your operations are running as they should. So doing that assessment helps you determine if you should prioritize operations as a goal or prioritize something else, right? And so once you have your goals, those are the what, then you start figuring out, how do you actually achieve these goals? And that's your how, that's your strategies. And you have your strategies and your tactics that really tell you, all right, this is what I'm going to employ as far as how I'm going to achieve the goal. So if your goal was to improve your customer base, your strategies are probably going to be around marketing, sales, and outreach and things like that, to kind of attract new customers, or to improve your packaging so that you can maybe increase your cart size, and or increase your repeat customer and things like that. So your strategies are going to be more around marketing efforts if you are trying to improve your customer base. If you're trying to improve your operations, your strategies are really going to be around just more efficient processes and maintenance and things like that. So just to categorize, your goals are usually around financial, operations, human resources, and customer base. Those are the 4 groups where your goals will fall under. And again, depending on which one it falls under, your strategies would it will dictate the kind of strategy that you employ, right? And again, your goals are the what, your strategies are the how, right? So now you have your goals that are relevant to where you're actually going. And then you have your strategies. And then you want to create your measure so you can evaluate these goals and evaluate your performance. And that's why we talked about, when we talked on the importance of setting goals, we talked about results and also accountability. When you create a measure system, a performance measure system, that way your whole team is just that much more accountable because you actually have a system to track how these things are doing. But it's not only to hold people accountable, it's also to ensure that the goals actually do what you want, like you actually achieve the goals. And with that system, what it is really identifying key performance indicators for all your objectives and identifying any kind of metrics that you use for the different tactics that you employ under your strategies, right? So that when you come in monthly and you're doing a review of your company, just a performance review on the goals, you can look at those KPIs and metrics and see what the results are and see if you're on track, if you're lagging behind, if you're ahead. And that way you can actually do something about it in real time versus setting a goal and not having a performance measure in place and then waiting till the end of the year to find out you didn't hit the goal. So this is how you stay on top of it on a regular basis. So this is essentially the framework that you want to use when you set goals. So don't set it in isolation. Set your goals based on where you're going as a company and where you are right now so that it's really a moving from point A to B. Okay. If you have any questions, don't forget to drop it on the comments and then I can either take them as I go or at the end. So we talked about the framework and I just want to double down and say that your goals, if there's anything you take away, is they have to be cascaded down from the big broad outcome to the nitty gritty. All right. So I want to give an example. So your big, let me take something that I think we all wish to achieve. Say you want to increase your customer base. That's an account that you wish to create. And you get very specific and say, right now I have 10 customers. I want to add 10 more customers in 2021. So you want to have 20 customers. So that's specific, that's time bound, that's actionable, it's relevant, it's realistic, all of that. So 10 new customers and you have a team. That's at the big organization level. How do you cascade those down to every single person? And that's what we talked about in the previous slide, where you have your goals and objectives and the strategies and tactics. At the organizational level, you want to improve customers, you want to increase customer base. So at the department level, maybe your marketing department or your sales department, you can say marketing. What is the marketing going to do? What strategies are they going to employ? How do you break this goal down to the marketing department? How do you break these goals down to the sales department, right? So you're able to really kind of break it down within your company so that it's not only at a high level, but it comes down to every single employee. And even within the marketing department, how do you break it down into teams, depending on how big your company is? Because you can have a social media team and they might have a specific goal of doing certain things on the social media platform. You might have a sales team that goes out and it's your sales force. They might also have specific goals to their pertaining to their department. And within that sales department, then you kind of divvy it up within to the employees, right? So that everybody is really, everything you're doing is going back to that, is tying into that big goal. So that is what I mean by really setting relevant goals and cascading it down to the nitty gritty so that everything that we do is tied to that original goal. Okay. So now that you have your goals and they are relevant to what you want to achieve and relevant to moving you from point A to point B, how do you actually make sure that it works? Like, what is your action plan? I alluded to that 2 slides ago when I talked about your performance measure. The only way to do that is to first, again, make sure your goals, big picture, is broken down to the objectives, and each objective has a strategy, each strategy has a tactic, and all the way down to every single person in your organization, or everything that you do is linking back to that goal. Let me show you a picture of what I mean. I'm going to stick with the increase customer base goal. So I want to increase my customer base. I want to add 10 more customers this year. That's my objective. That's specific. My strategy is to have workshops like this or have coffee chats once a month. And that strategy obviously is more of one of outreach, where you hope to connect with an environment of other professionals so that they can see your expertise and understand, just really kind of understand what you offer and why it's important, and hopefully make a connection with someone that may need your services, right? So that is a strategy, is having, whatever marketing outreach you have, whether it's your coffee chat, whether it's having workshops, whether it's your podcast, whether it's your social media, whatever that strategy is, that's the how. Your tactics are going to be the actual things that you do to accomplish that strategy. So if I want to have a maybe say workshops, right? What am I doing under that big strategy to achieve that, as a tactic to achieve that strategy? So it may be that I connect with different chambers of commerce around the around my location, right? And make a connection with them, develop a relationship, and be able to have them invite me and schedule me for a workshop. That might be one tactic. And another one might be to link up with other networking organizations or small networking groups, and so that I can be able to provide workshops through that venue. So those are the things that I'm gonna do as a company to ensure that I'm hitting my strategy target of actually having workshops, because they're not gonna happen by themselves. Like, we actually have to do stuff. So really breaking it down and drilling down to the tactics, that's what I'm talking about. And now once you have that laid out, right? So you don't only have a goal, but you have it really down to what exactly you're doing to get that goal to actually happen. Then you want to create what your KPIs and your metrics. And your KPIs, again, like I said before, essentially will be measuring those objectives. So I'm sticking with the same example. So your key performance indicator for this objective that we talked about would be looking at the number of customers that you add each month. Say I want to add 10 customers. Let me use 12, right? Because it's easy to have, to kind of illustrate it with using these metrics. So if I want to have 12 new customers, that means each month I need to be adding one new customer. So at the end of the month, when I'm doing my evaluation, I'm going to be looking at how many new customers I've added. Have I added one, two? If I haven't added any, why? Look at the efforts that you're making. Did I actually have a workshop that month? Did I, hit all the other targets? And so looking at that KPI is going to help us to keep the momentum going each month. So we don't just set the goal at the beginning of the year, and then at the end of the year, we wait to see if we have reached the target. But monitoring it closely, that's the only way to actually get it done. Then your metrics would be, the things that, what you use to kind of measure your tactics, right? So they are, did I have my workshop? Did I reach out to the Chamber of Commerce? Did I reach out to networking groups? Yes, no, how many? Those are the little things that you use to measure your tactics. And again, when you do it this way, every single person in your organization is involved in actually accomplishing these goals, because the other thing is you have ownership of each of these things. So if you have one goal, there's an owner. If a goal can have multiple objectives, right? A goal can have two objectives. Each one has an owner, and it can be the same owner depending on the size of your company. Or if you have a big organization, you can have multiple owners. You can have, an objective has one owner, and things like that. But each and every single objective, strategy, tactic needs to have an owner. So that way you're holding, whether it's yourself accountable or your team members. And then it takes away the just the pressure. And I think people like to know that they play a role in your company. So when you give ownership, and you're also giving them that liberty to really kind of come up with their own ideas, especially on the strategy side of how to actually get this done. And so, as far as you, of course, you have to approve it. However, you give people, because people have ideas, right? You have people that come from different backgrounds, and that's just the beauty of diversity. So you're bringing in, you're not just coming up with everything, you're involving your whole team to making sure this gets done. So doing it that way, giving everyone ownership, and that way everyone knows what they're going to be measured on monthly. And then we come to your monthly updates. Very important. You want to have performance meetings every month, and the format is simple. You come in, you can highlight what the main goals of this that you're trying to accomplish during this period, and you just go down each goal and objective, and everyone reports on the status. And you can create an Excel template to just track every single thing. I actually have a template on my website. You can sign up for it if you want, but you just create it that way, and then you yeah, you just track it each month, and you see it on columns month by month, and that way it's easy to see your progress over time, to see whether you're moving closer. And then you also have an opportunity to address, if you're not moving closer to your goal, address it and say, are my strategies working all right? Do I need to tweak it? Is there a change in the environment? Is there a pandemic that is causing, us not to hit this target? But then you can actually have a conversation and do something about it. Now, I would say though that when you do set your goals and strategies, you want to give it time to actually work. Don't try to change it by the next month, right? It takes a while to build traction. It takes a while for your efforts to really sink into the audience and the people that you're trying to reach. So give yourself 3 to 6 months of just repeatedly doing what you're supposed to do. And then before you try to change any tactics, unless you have a major change in the environment, like a COVID pandemic, where you can say, oh, okay, I need to, switch things up and kind of like pivot. But essentially, this is how you really take your goals from setting them to action and actually getting stuff done each month. Okay, that's it. I didn't even realize that was the last slide. But yeah, that's basically the breakdown. And if you have any questions, I would love to chat. If you have any comments, I would love to yeah, we can talk about all of that.
There are a few questions in the chat if you want to check those. You want me to
Oh,
read them to you?
oh
You see them.
yeah. Can you read it to me? Because I'm
Of course. The
yeah.
first one is, how far in advance do you suggest that we plan our business goals? Like, do we plan goals for 6 months, for a year, 5 years?
So it's the least amount of time is 1 year.
Okay.
When you are in a growing phase of your business, so there's different phases. When you start off, things are changing constantly. So before you get to that maturity where you're more of maintaining, in that initial stage, I'll say 1 to 2 years, right? So if you're
Okay.
going to set goals, the least amount of time is one. You can do 2 years. So I do 2 years. There was a time when I used to do 1 year, but that's the least amount of time. And I mentioned giving it time to work. So that way you actually give time for, give some time for your efforts, whether it's your strategies and your tactics to actually kick in and actually gain traction and actually start producing results. And then when you get to that maturity stage and you're just kind of established and just kind of not necessarily looking to grow but maintain, and then you can do more like 5 years. But I have to say the 5 year goals, they're becoming extinct because the market is changing so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like before the standard used to be you set 5 year road plan or roadmap. Most people now, even with the big organizations, they just do yearly or 2 years because things change so much. And then depending on the industry that you're in, the
Mm-hmm.
industry might be constantly changing. So if you're in like a IT tech type industry where things are just changing constantly, yeah, you want to do it maybe a little more often, like 1 year. But yeah, so those are the things to consider, but definitely minimum of 1 year.
Okay. And then, how do you determine if a goal is realistic when you want to be ambitious, yet in touch with the reality of the situation we're in?
Oh, that's really good. That's a good one. I want to say realistic. You have to look at also your efforts in the past, right?
Hmm.
Look at industry standards. Be real with yourself. And it's something I think that will come more of an instinct. I don't think there's any kind of blueprint on what realistic is, especially when you're talking about figures. But you have to look at what your efforts have been in the past. Like in the past, I have been able to add on, 20 customers a year after doing XYZ. I think it would be pretty unrealistic to say I want to add 100, knowing that, I've done this before and I was only able to add 20. Now, maybe you can say, I'm going to be more aggressive. I'm going to increase my resources, my sales resources. You can get a whole new sales force. And that way you can multiply your efforts, right? Because I have a customer that grew really exponentially, but he was very intentional. So he actually went out and invested in a business development team. He was able to grow super, super exponentially. But that was realistic for him because he had the resources to back it up. But if you're by
Nice.
yourself and there's only so much you can do, then there's only kind of so much you can grow. And then of course it also depends on the industry, right? Because when you're talking about consulting, you're limited by your human resources. But when you're talking about maybe if you have a product, um, all you really need is the financial resource. You can make as many as you want. So you kind of have to. It's kind of intuitive, but those are some of the things you consider. But it's really important to be as realistic as possible so that you don't want to set yourself up for failure. Like you want to be able to celebrate your wins, and setting goals that are not realistic, then you're never going to get to that point. And it also boosts the company, the team morale, when at the end of the year we can say, hey, we hit 85% of our goals. But if you're at the point where you're like only hitting 20%, it just like, especially if people put in so much work, it's like, man, all of this work and we only hit 20%, then it just kind of kills the morale. And I actually know some companies that actually set up their bonus structure based on goals. So if the team gets to a certain point at the end of the year, they'll give certain different milestones. You get different bonuses for everyone. So again, you want to be realistic because you don't want to kill that morale. But realistic really comes down to the type of business, the resources you have to pursue what this goal is, and so many other things based on your past performance and things like that. But that's such a great question. I hope that helps to
Yes,
clarify.
I think so. I think so. And then the other one was if you had any suggested tools that you use to track your goals, like maybe some software, online platforms.
So there are softwares, and I mentioned that your goals should not be in isolation. It should be within a framework of more of a strategic plan for your business.
Yeah.
So there are strategic planning softwares out there. There is I have actually an action plan that I built out. I can just tell you exactly. I have it on my website. It's called Business Done Right Guide. But I can tell you what, if you want to create one yourself, what that action plan looks like. It's literally Excel. You have, your header and all of that. And then you have your goal. So goal number one is this. Under goal number one, you have objective. So it's really cascading down. So objective one, objective one of two. Under objective one of one, you have strategy. And then under the strategy, you have the tactics. So I have it really cascaded down from goals to objective to strategy to tactic, and that's on the first column. And then on the second column, I have the owner. So who is in charge of this? And then on the third column, what is the KPI or the metrics that is going to be used to measure this particular effort? And then on the preceding columns, or the preceding columns, I have the monthly performance. So I have January, what was the performance for that? February, and then so each month the information is filled into that template, and then all we're doing is really in the meeting, and it even makes it easy for the agenda because we just start from the top, and whoever has that first goal just kind of talks on it. Whoever has the objective talk on it,
Yeah.
talk
So
about
like,
the results, and then we just kind of go down. And then at the end, you can look at the whole table and see if you hit the target, if you're running behind, why should you make any adjustments and things like that, and have a whole progressive conversation around really addressing that. So
all
you can
right.
create a template yourself. You can check out my business done right guide on my website. It has really this whole framework broken down, plus the actual template.
Awesome. Definitely will do that. Well, those were the questions.
Very great.
Um, if you guys have any other questions, you can, and you missed it, give it to us, feel free to email me. I will send them over to Viola, and maybe she can either email you directly and answer your questions, or we can connect a different way. But Viola, I really, really appreciate you taking the time to be here, sharing your knowledge and wisdom with everybody. Such great information, and I think it's definitely going to help propel all of our businesses. I made a couple of notes. Some of the stuff you said really resonated with me, especially the part about business owners trying to take on everything, doing everything themselves. That is, for many of us, leading the business by ourselves, that it gets so easy to get into that trap. And
Yeah.
also the part you mentioned about giving it some time, give it 3 to 6 months before you give up or try to change your goal, because just like marketing, it takes some time to really see the results of your efforts. And so don't give up. Don't expect things to happen too fast.
And I think once you understand that, you also manage your own expectations, and then you don't get disappointed by the end of the morning, like, man, all this work and you didn't see anything. But just knowing that it takes time, then that way you don't lose hope,
Yeah.
and keep pushing. And but I have to say, I mean, I literally, there's nobody that I've worked with that has used this approach and has not seen results. It truly, that's how everybody runs a successful business.
Yeah.
The point you said about delegating, when you have it really broken down, it makes it easier for you to delegate. And the other thing about delegating that is challenging is that sometimes it's a disconnect between what you want to achieve and what the person at the other end understands that they're supposed to produce. But having it really broken down in this structure, they know what you're looking from out of the situation.
Hmm.
There's a clear understanding of what the results should be. So it makes it easy for you to hold them accountable and say, well, we're not where we need to be and why.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for sharing this knowledge. Setting goals is a huge part of developing marketing plans. So I appreciate this contribution. And do you want to share how people can, get more information about you and connect with you? I know, especially your podcast. I want to mention
Yeah,
that.
I started my podcast last year, and it has been amazing. I've had so many great people on there, i.e., you, Philippa. She actually was on my. This is hilarious because we all like she was on my podcast. The one that went live this week. So
Yeah.
definitely go check it out. We talk about just having a social media strategy that actually works, and how you do that. So
Yes.
yeah, I interview a lot of different experts around different areas in business, and the goal is really to give you content like this that will help you move your business forward. We can also connect on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at the B Essentials. And yeah, and my website, of course, is the bessentials.com.
All right. Awesome. Well, again, thank you guys for attending. Appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you guys next month. Our coffee chat is, again, the last Thursday of the month. This month is going to be July 29th. And we're talking about the importance of call to actions, what they are, why you need to ensure they're clear on your website and social media, and what is happening when they're not clear. All right, so we'll see everybody then. Have a great month and a great 4th of July that's coming up soon. So thanks again and see you later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.